Welcome in, Pirate fans, to tonight's podcast with Coach Rob Woodward. Coach, first of all, it's kind of been a weird setup for the first three games actually here. The third game was you had everything going, and then all of a sudden a big rainstorm come in and kind of cut your guys' stuff short. But you still got a good look at what you think the Pirates actually can do this year. What was your thoughts about Heath?
Yeah, I really thought we put together an outstanding week of practice. I'm one that always preaches, you win the games on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday you just go out and have fun. And our kids definitely did that last week. They put in a great week of practice. Our coaches put together a great plan for the week of practice that really got our guys ready for the things they needed from an offensive perspective, defensive perspective, and a great breakdown of the team. And our guys were in position to, I believe it was negative 19 yards, or 19 yards total, 19 yards total, -1 rushing, 20 yards on a pass that they had. From a defensive perspective, definitely we're playing lights out and had everybody in the right positions, flew around, tackled well. Offensively, we capitalized every time we got the ball on what we needed to do. And, you can't ask for more than that. So, it was only a half of a game, but our starters, got in what they needed to do and did what they needed to do in that situation and really put it all together. And, go back to week one, we were still trying to kind of feel out who was the right guys to fit in certain positions, and we had a couple injuries there early on. Went and played a great Hartley team, saw a great performance out of our team at times, but not enough of it to be able to compete with a team of that caliber at that moment. I definitely think that we've got the right parts to go out and compete. But for sure, we didn't have it all together then. But then we bounced back week 3 and put together, exactly what we needed. And here we are with another great test that we got to travel to Columbus. So we've got to be on the road again. And we're gonna be facing a team that is definitely going to bring everything they got. So it's going to be a good matchup.
One thing that I always figure is that most coaches usually know their team by about week 3 as far as their strengths and weaknesses. Looking back and paralleling it with last year's team, do you see some similarities from last year's team to this year's team, or is there some differences?
I do. No, honestly, I see differences. But it's funny how you see things in different areas. I look at our offensive line. I think we are farther than we were last year on our offensive line at this point. Really like the way they've been starting to gel together. Something that I thought could be, we could put together a good group, and I think they're getting better and better. And I think, I really like where they're at right now. Looking back at last year's team, we were still kind of trying to fit some people in there, and size-wise, we were, again, they did an outstanding job last year. I'm not taking one thing away from them, but I'm really liking what we're putting together with our offensive line right now with this year's team. Secondary-wise, last year we were still trying to, while we had some older guys at the corner positions, their experience was not there. Micaiah Matthews, a sophomore, experience was not there at free safety. So Avery Deneni and Justin Sayers, while Justin had seen some good reps as a sophomore, we were still young last year in the secondary. This year we've got a lot of those guys back, and they're really gelling, and they're really Trey Carter and Dustin Darnell are new faces in there. But they were right in there last year, repping with everybody and getting those, seeing how we were playing the schemes that we were running and things. So I really like our secondary from that. Now, defensively on our defensive line, we've got a lot of new faces down there that we're really working to try to get those guys all where's the best fit for them, and how we face our opponents. I liked some things we did against Hartley and Ironton for sure. They definitely came out and played lights out against Heath. We got another tough test coming up this week with Watterson. So each one of those aspects, and the only one I hadn't talked about is our skill position players over there on the offensive side of the ball. Of course, you got Tanner back and Trent back and Micaiah back. Trey Carter's repping in at receiver, and we've got the duo back there at the running backs with Clevenger and Horsley, both doing a great job. Clevenger's definitely coming on and showing some speed and some ability to really find the holes, and he's improving immensely back there. Where last year we didn't necessarily have those guys repping as much. We were a little more one-dimensional with our running game, and this year I think we've got some other options that's keeping us fresh legs out there. So I like the weapons that we have and the way that we're utilizing them, and I think we're getting better and better as we move through the weeks here throughout the season.
Coach, one thing that that I've noticed a little bit is on the offensive play calling with Coach Caskey, he seems like he's trying to figure out what's his best option of attacking. Is it run first, pass second? Or I noticed you guys throwing some RPOs in there. Are you still trying to fill out what's going to work best for the Pirates this year, or do you got it kind of narrowed down?
I think we're always going to try to be balanced. We watch teams and we say, hey, they run the ball because they're trying to set up the pass, or hey, they're throwing the ball, but really that what they want to do is be able to run it. I don't think you can necessarily say that about us, because I think we've got a lot of different options. We're going to take what the defense gives us. So we're going to try to, throughout the weekend, try to look at a team and see, is there any weaknesses or areas that maybe we can attack, and then we're going to put together a game plan. But here's the thing: we're always going to make sure we've got a good set of running plays that when we need to run the ball, we're going to run the ball at them out of various formations, and attack different areas, and then we're going to have a good set of pass plays that's going to allow us to stretch the field vertically. It's going to allow us to spread the field horizontally. It's going to make teams run. It's going to make them get back on the ball quick. We're going to try to use our conditioning to our advantage. So I think Coach Caskey and our offensive staff does a great job of really using the whole field, using all the players that we have out there, using as many guys from the sidelines as we can to just really put pressure on teams. Now, there's times where they may step up and throw 7-8 guys in the box and be stopping our run game, and we've got to make sure that we communicate with our quarterback and make sure our quarterback communicates with our receivers and those to recognize those situations so that we can get it out on the perimeter. And that's just the game, the chess game that we're always playing, but we're going to try to be as balanced as we can in both the running attack and pass attack from an offensive perspective.
The awesome thing about Coach Caskey is he's always looking to find something different out there to prepare his kids to go out there and attack a defense.
Yep. He's always got a little wrinkle in there, and that's something that he's picked up as we've talked to other coaches. They're always communicating with as you go to clinics and that kind of thing, you try to say, okay, what's one thing I can do to get better as a coach and make our team better? And Tom does an outstanding job of that. He's extremely organized. He's extremely focused on what he can do to try to take a shot when we need a shot, or to try to grind it out when you need to grind it out. So we're trying to all the time be ready for all those situations that could face throughout a game. And ultimately, with the weapon that we have from the kicker, in terms of Jalen Miller, we can get down there, and we're always gambling. We're taking shots on fourth down when we can, but Jalen is definitely a weapon that we can utilize when we get down there close And as he showed there in week 2, 46 and 43-yard field goals are something that he's very capable of making.
Coach, you move on to Columbus Bishop Watterson. What does the Bishop Watterson team have for the Pirates that would maybe impose some problems for the Pirates this year?
Well, they got a quarterback, Hoying. He sophomore for him, does a real good job of getting the ball out of his hands real quick and getting it to receivers. He's got a pre-snap read that he recognizes in about 3 seconds. That ball's coming out right now. He's got a big tight end who's another sophomore that you can tell he really likes to go to. Got a nice junior running back that does a good job running the football. He has nice vision, runs hard. They got an offensive line that's got some size and is aggressive out there, and really does a good job from an offensive line perspective of giving time. Doesn't need to worry about too much time because Hoying's usually dropping at about 7 to 10 yards and getting it out pretty quick. So they've limited the number of sacks that they've had in the last 2 weeks. Their line does a great job of giving him the time he needs. And then he's got some receivers that'll go up and get the ball. So offensively, they do pose a threat of doing a good job of they utilize the whole field as well. They've really got a lot of crossing routes and flood routes. They're trying to attack the defense and where they think they're going to line up and put guys over in those spots to really take some shots when they can, and they do a good job of that. Defensively, they're aggressive up front. They've got, again, some size up on their front line, and their linebackers are really attacking the line of scrimmage at different times. So we've got to have that offensive line who, again, I feels like been gelling real well together. We've got to have them really hitting on all cylinders and make sure that they open the gaps for our running backs and protect the quarterback the way they need to.
Well, Coach, we wish you guys the best of luck. I know you guys are going to head up tomorrow. Any final thoughts before we get off this week?
No, we've had a great week of practice, and yeah, we've got a 2-hour drive that we've got to have. So, I feel like our guys are getting really good at understanding what they got to do to prepare themselves. And we as a coaching staff are getting better with preparing our guys for traveling, because this is essentially just like it would be around playoff time when you need to travel. 2-hour bus ride. You got to get yourself, game ready over that time. And all of this is just experience playing in new venues, larger stadiums and that kind of thing, so that you can really get a feel for what you need to do. But ultimately, we've got to come together and get out there and look to attack from the get-go. And I think our guys have prepared themselves well this week for that.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Gene. Go Bird.